Hi, this is Braden Holtby.
Hey, this is Tanner the Bulldozer Bozer.
Hi, this is Brian Burke from Toronto, Ontario.
This is Daryl Sutter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carly Agro from Sportsnet Central.
This is Jay Onright.
This is Quick Dick coming to you from Tofnell, Saskatchewan.
Hey, everybody. My name is Theo Fleury.
This is Kelly Rudy.
This is Corey Cross.
This is Wade Redden.
This is Jordan Tutu.
My name is Jim Pattison.
Hey, it's Ron McLean, Hockey Night in Canada and Rogers Hometown Hockey, and welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. Happy Wednesday, hump day. We got a great one on tap for you today. And speaking of taps, I got a new sponsor announcement. Three Trees Tap and Kitchen is on board with the podcast. Pretty excited about this one. They're going to be supplying growlers of beer to the podcast studio, which I'm excited about. You're going to hear about that in this episode. And then, I went and sat down with Jim Spenrath. Is there a more down-to-earth guy? I don't know if there is. When I said, okay, well, we'll make sure we mention it this Wednesday, he goes, well, actually, we're helping the Kinsmen and Kinettes out and are doing their Telemiracle Steak Night. So I got off the phone with Louis Stang. The Kinsmen will be cooking steaks outside Three Trees Tap and Kitchen, and Three Trees will be packaging the steaks with a salad, potato, and dessert. The Kinsmen and Kinettes will then deliver the meals to your door. How do you get involved? You go, what day is it first off? Saturday, February 6th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You got to get your tickets before the end of January. Tickets are $50 for a steak dinner. Kids can get involved. $10 kids meal with chicken fingers and fries. Each ticket purchased includes free entry into door prize draws and delivery of the meal directly to your door. The night doesn't end there. They're also providing a live stream entertainment that will include the music by Bud's Busted 9 Irons. Say that 10 times fast. Live updates of silent auction items, celebrity cameos, and door prizes. For tickets, call Louis Stang at 306-821-7275 or Darcy Wildman at 780-871-4818. I should also give a shout out to Chris at Kudu. Louis had asked for a barbecue, and sorry, Baker, we don't have one. So I did a couple phone calls, got Chris. Kudu's got one, and then proceeded to hang up on him. So sorry about that, Chris. And if you're listening to this, I appreciate you helping the boys out with a barbecue. That's Kudu. Jen Gilbert and team, for over 40 years, since 1976, the dedicated realtors of Coldwell Bankers, Cityside Realty, have served Lloydminster and the surrounding area. They're passionate about our community, and they pride themselves on giving back through volunteer opportunities and partnerships as often as they can. We know that home is truly where awesomeness happens. Coldwell Bankers, Cityside Realty, for everything real estate, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Give them a call, 780-875-3343. HSI Group, they are the local oil field burners and combustion experts that can help make sure you have a compliant system working for you. Mr. Kim was the guy who hooked me up with Chris from Kudu. They just make things happen, don't you, boys? So if you're looking to get some things cooking on your security side, give HSI Group a call. Kim and Brody will help you out. They offer security, surveillance, and automation products for residential, commercial, livestock, and agricultural applications. They use technology to give you peace of mind so you can focus on the things that truly matter. Stop in today, 3902 52nd Street, or give them a call, 306-825-6310. I'd stopped in and saw Miss Deanna Wandler about a week ago. We got talking about a couple different things, signs included. And if you haven't seen the SNP billboard across from the UFA, I highly suggest you take a look at her. She is sharp. And if you're looking to get any outdoor signage, make sure you stop in to Read and Write today and let them know I sent you. They do fantastic work, and there isn't much better than Deanna Wandler. She's fantastic at what she does. Gartner Management, talking about fantastic. Mr. Wade Gartner, if you're looking for any type of rental property, a small office space like the studio, maybe a little something bigger, 6,000 square foot commercial space, give Wade Gartner a call, 780-808-5025. We got talking about culture and surrounding yourself with the best people. And I tell you what, the sponsors of the podcast are certainly that. And if you're into any of these businesses, you make sure you let them know you heard them on the podcast here. Now, if you're interested in getting a part of this team and being on the show here in 2021, there is a couple spots left. go to SeanNewmanPodcast.com, top right corner, hit the contact button, send me your info, and we'll see what we can do here to get you involved and get you a part of this team. Yeah, I'm excited. Here we go. T-Bar 1, Tale of the Tape. Originally from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, his first time on stage was, shall we say, unusual, as he headlined an entire show for an hour. Since then, he has acted in movies, performed in NHL dressing rooms, across college campuses in both Canada and the United States. He was named Canadian College Comedian of the Year at one point. I'm talking about Kelly Taylor. So buckle up. Here we go.
This is Kelly Taylor, and welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Well, welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast. I'm joined today by Kelly Taylor.
Sean, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully I'm not too low, because you do it. You guys do it pro. I got to start doing video and that. So what do you show this on YouTube, or how do you show yours?
Yeah, YouTube. Plus
Okay.
then, if you put a clip, if you say something funny, because I'm not a funny guy, if you say something funny, then I can clip it out and put it on Twitter or something, and people can like it and not have to tune in to a full, I don't know. Depends how long we go, Kelly.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I need to get in the computer side of this, the technical side. Okay. Sounds good.
Well, how's it
Look
going?
at that. Good. I like that. You got no front tooth like that for the show too. I like that. Hockey teeth right off and slugging a beer. This is great. I like it.
Listen, I got 3 kids. I'm about to say 4 and under, but he's closing in on 5 and under. The oldest is 4.5, turns 5 in April. The daughter's 3, the newest one is 1, right? It's a busy house. This studio is not in the house. That is another smart move you should make, because when I get here, it's quiet, pour myself a sarsaparilla, sit down, enjoy a chat. It's perfect.
Look at you. Smart. Yeah, I usually do things at my parents', but I just went down to the basement, and at least I like how you did it at a bedtime, because we try to get the one kid to bed. So this is good. I'm out. I'm not taking care of that. I got a football game on in the background here, so this is nice. Yeah, it's smart. Almost like so that's how I got into my stand-up career. It was like literally almost the same thing. I use stand-up as an excuse to go out and drink. Like, she's pregnant, and she's like, if I can't drink and that, like, you shouldn't be. And I was like, oh babe, I'm gonna chase this dream. So this is perfect. We just keep figuring it out, guys. Smart move.
Well, I gotta know. I'm originally from Hillmont, Saskatchewan. I've been
Home
told
of the Redden, right?
That's correct.
Bart
That is-
Redden. Oh, and Wade too. Yeah.
That is correct.
Oh yeah, there we go. I see. There's the jersey right there. Yeah.
Have you performed in Hillmont?
Yes, at the it's like literally the is it a ratepayers or something like that? Like something for the RM, and you do these things, and I think you have to be 75 and up to get into these functions. It's 75 and up. It's styrofoam mini coffee cups. I don't even know if they serve booze at it, and like it's literally. The people are ancient, but it's like, oh man, whatever. If I can't get away with telling these ag people jokes, then there's not a lot of hope for other comics. So I just keep it squeaky clean and just do some sass stuff. And you're not going to get a huge laugh, because I think their level of laughter is it's almost like little head nods. It prepped me for Zoom gigs, but yes, I did do Hillmont. I remember pulling in there, a small little community hall.
Gee, you're making us sound all right. I like it. You can keep talking about Hillmont that way. You didn't mention the dogs and the cats, and that was pretty much the town. So I'm happy about that.
I only saw that hall they had. I don't even know if there was a town there.
You didn't even go to the rink, eh? They got to take you to the rink. The rink's the best building in the place, obviously. Small town Sask.
Yeah, it was summer, but so I would have just saw. I've been in a lot of rinks actually. So I don't know why a lot of people do that too. I do a lot of small towns where they're like, "Yeah, you can come see your rink." I was like, "Okay." And rinks are always so creepy at that time too. But I was like, the smell is always the same. You're like, oh, whatever, love it, let's do it.
Does the name Dwayne Parlett ring a bell for you? Then is that a guy that you know?
What I know that name sounds very familiar.
He played a very small stint. He was a backup goalie for PA back in the day. Back when, I think Hartnell would have been there, and McIntyre knew who he was. So right in that time frame, Steve McIntyre in those days.
See, and that Hartnell era is right when so I would have followed the Raiders my whole childhood, and then I went to university. So right when Hartnell got here, I went to university. So it was the first time the Raiders weren't my main entertainment. Now the Sutherland, the Pat, and the Double Deuce were my main source of entertainment. So those are my follow years of not seeing a lot of Raider hockey. Come home at Christmas, see a little bit, and that was about it for that era.
Speaking of, I on a side note, the reason I bring up Dwayne Parlett is I've heard this story about you being on stage in Helmond, and in walks this guy in shorts and flip flops. He's larger than life because Dwayne is a big man, and you're in the middle of a joke and you stop and you're like, Dwayne, and he's like, eh, and it's Dwayne Parlett, and you're like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, nah, it's my hometown. He's like, all right then, and you carried on.
Okay, this is bad memory. I remember driving into Hillmont, the venue, but I couldn't remember.
Hey,
that
listen,
what an idiot I am.
This is an old wives' tale I've been told about you, and I was like, well, there's only one way to go in, head first, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, there we go. Melted head I got right now. It's not there's so many different things when I'll do a show and people are like, remember you did that? And I was like, no, I don't. Because you just do so many shows. You're like, I don't know. And sometimes that's where some of my best jokes have been born out of. Someone's like, hey, I love my favorite joke here is, then they'll say something. And it's not even a joke. It's just a one-off out of did that one night. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I got to talk about that thing again. And then you kind of build on things like that. Because I'm so bad at not writing things and kind of just going in the moment. And then I'll just use them and they're gone. Which if I was very professional, I would record every show. I think Jim Gaffigan records every show and listens to himself, everything, goes through it just a workhorse. Whereas if I listen to myself, I want to quit immediately. Anything I've been on TV, anything on the radio I've ever recorded, I cannot listen to because I just hate it. So, and then it works out good for me because I don't have to do all that extra work of going through my set and fine tuning it. So I like to keep it rough.
So that's why you never did Jimmy Kimmel then? Is because he didn't like listening to yourself?
Could not. We went right from Montreal straight to New York, and he wanted this certain set where I did this fish bit. And I remember the night I was recording it, I was like, well, this, because you can tell what crowds are like. And I was like, and that's a very high energy bit. And the crowd was kind of like a Wednesday crowd. And they were kind of they weren't that rowdy. So I was like, it feels like I'm forcing this. And I remember doing it right after I finished. I was like, oh, we're not sending that video. And then went to another one. And then it's hard to get stage time in New York. You're not going to get good stages. So now it's all these weird shows with just some comics in there. So I didn't like those. And then even when I came back to Canada, I was always doing I was never doing a lot of clubs. There's always weird gigs, maybe in a hall this. So I never really recorded. And then if I did, I wouldn't like it. And I just never sent them the video. So I had Kimmel booked. We had it locked and loaded. And they just wanted to confirm it with the video of that bit. And I never sent it. And that's the biggest regret and the really only regret I guess I haven't. Well, no, I'm not sure there's more regrets down there, but that's number one. That's annoying. I just started comedy, could have Kimmel right off the hop, and it took I think maybe 10 years, 15 years later till a Canadian did Kimmel, and I was like, oh my God, I could have came out of the gates right hot, got it, and who knows? But whatever. I'm having a good time here in Sask, anyways. So maybe it worked out for the best. Maybe I would have been an alcoholic in LA, burnt up and dead in the ditch somewhere. So I'm going to count it. I'm going to count it as a blessing in disguise. That's what I'm doing.
You're trying to look at the glass half full. Yes. Yes. That's what you're trying to do there.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up PA.
Yeah.
Youngest of five?
Yes, sir. Man, it's probably where it comes from. Even right now. So I've got 4. And my youngest, his volume is at max 10 all the time. And as soon as anyone talks, he just gets right in the middle of it and he's just yelling. And I was like, I think that must have been the way I was. My dad was funny, my brothers are funny, but then the last one, I guess, has got to be the loudest one. Try to show them what you can do, I guess.
My siblings are laughing right now because I'm the youngest of 5. I've been known to be a little talkative, shall we say?
Well, we gotta be, man. There's no one wants to listen. No one wants to listen to the last one. They're annoyed. Like now that I see the dynamic of how it works, you're the weakest link in the chain. Like so, you wreck it for almost everyone. Like you got to leave places early because of that thing. You can't go. Maybe you can't go fishing because of this guy. You'll get tired in the boat. Like even today, we took him ice fishing. He was an absolute dud. He was brutal, and I felt like a loser because I brought an iPad because you're like, oh, get the kids out in the fresh air. And I was like, whatever. My kids are outside all the time. I could care less. I stuck him in he didn't really step out of the halftime. Like he just in there watching Cobra Kai. So I was like, whatever. Who cares?
Is that good?
It's beyond cheesy, but then it reminds you of your childhood because you get to see like the old sensei there or the bad guy. But the bad guy, now you like the bad guy, and the Karate Kid is just annoying. So you like the old bad guy because he's creepy and cheesy, and there's no better thing than a creepball cheesy guy, and he's always slugging banquets. So I don't know. You end up liking the bad guy from the original Karate Kid.
I don't know, man. I watched I've seen a couple of you tweet about it that you're watching it, and all I see is the original Karate Kid. And even back in the movie, you're like rooting for him, but you kind of wish they casted somebody else. And now as an older guy, I'm like, I don't know if I can handle that guy.
He's almost unwatchable. Like it's annoying. Like it feels like you're watching a soap opera, but you're like, this is terrible. But at least it's the only show I could mildly stomach with my kids. Like usually they just watch shit. Like it's just, you don't even, except my one kid's right into nature, and then the other one will be hockey. The 14-year-old will watch the hockey with me, and then the other one will nature. But the 7-year-old is it's YouTube junk and all this other crap. So I will watch that one, but it's the Danny LaRusso guy. It's like Full House. It's painful. You can't watch it. But the old sensei is such an old booze bag and weird and creepy. I got a kick on him. But it's one of the ones I can't watch anymore. Like it's just, I was like 3 or 4 episodes. I was like, okay, guys, that's it for me. They're like, Dad, you're gonna fall behind. That's good. That's fine. Go ahead on Cobra Kai without me, guys. Can't do it.
Yeah, I'm really missing out, guys.
Yeah.
What do you during COVID? Man, it's kind of crazy to think about. We're closing in on a year, man, of being COVID lockdown, tightened up. Did you want? This is a dumb question because it's probably been talked about 1,000 times, but I assume you watched The Last Dance.
Oh yeah, that was great. And I said, the things I watch with my 14-year-old is sports. So he watched with me, and that one, when you watch some sports with your kids, and I remember when, grew up watching the Oilers, and you'd watch Gretzky, Messier, and then they'd show you an old clip of here was the best, and then you watch these old guys they can barely skate, they don't even have a helmet, they're not even bending their knees. So then now I watch hockey with my boy, and then I liked Messier and the Oilers, and I show him this old clip, and he's like, look how bad they are. No wonder why Gretzky scores goals. He's like, they're pure dusters, the goalies. They don't even go down. And so he beaks it like that. But the thing with The Last Dance, it feels like it transferred real good. Like good basketball was almost the same. Like it was unreal. And then just to see the competitive side of that. And then my boy is like that. Like he's insanely competitive. So it was cool to watch. I remember all those series. And then there's so much background into it that you don't realize. I remember saying, did Michael Jordan get ripped? Why is he so ripped now? I didn't know. He said in the off season, enough's enough. Enough of the Detroit Pistons manhandling a guy like that. So he just goes out and gets absolutely jacked to deal with the Detroit Pistons, and the guy's just beyond competitive. It was so fun to watch someone that competitive that can't sit down. Even before the games, playing quarter games with that creepy blonde-haired guy with that little Larry Bird mustache or whatever. He wins the NBA title, and he's like, we still got time for a round of golf. And then you start hearing all these backstories of guys talking about Jordan and his gambling, but his gambling was all because of how competitive he is. The guy you can't turn off, and I love competitive people like that. So it was I think, and they released it once a week, right? So you just get
once a week.
And then they released 2 episodes. So it's just boom, boom. And you're like, oh, I cannot wait for next week. So it's here we go, Monday, let's do it again. Yeah, I love that one. That's probably the favorite thing we watched. And together. Let's do this. It was I loved it.
Well, I got to I had MacArthur on. He's hometown boy here, and he got to golf with them. Well, they're not living there anymore. He was living just south of where Jordan's course was, and he talked about being in the stalls, and it was like, man, it was stupid, like Brady, Jordan, MacArthur kind of thing. And they used to bug him about all the time about, thought this is where the pro athletes sat, right? But he golfed with them all the time, and they golfed, he said, I think it was 36 holes a day, 5 days a week. That's what they did. And they bet every single time. And Clark was saying when his dad went down and was riding caddy for him, he'd be betting Jordan on every hole, and he'd be just at him. Like, Jordan just doesn't know how to shut it off, which is like still cool to hear.
Oh yeah, I imagine, man. Like, you can't stop competitiveness. Like, and that's why he probably golfs, because it's right there. There's still a competitive edge where you still want to go out and do something. At 36 a day, man. Like, what a life. That's great. Wonder did he have, why are this? It looks like he might have got into the booze now. Everyone watching The Last Dance, like, why are Michael Jordan's eyes so yellow? Take a day off, bud. Holy smokes. And then you're like, is he a big drinker? Then you just see that cup he's drinking every once in a while. I was like, oh, I think he might be indulging now.
Well, the man is worth more than money itself. Like, so what does he do? He golfs. Everywhere he goes, he gets comped everything. So I don't know. I mean, how do you turn that off?
Yeah. And the one guy who doesn't need to be comped, eh? The guy's making $1,000 per minute, and he's like, yeah, we'll get that for free. Oh, okay. Like, man, what a life. Just golf. Do whatever you want. Huh? Good for him. I guess that's what you get when you're the best in the world at a sport.
Forget if it's Lamborghinis or Ferraris. I'll have to go back and listen. But he shows up in a new one all the time. And one time, the best story I've heard is he showed up in a polka dot Ferrari. And somebody went, why polka dot? Because I can, and just kept walking. Like, you're like, yeah, all right, fair.
Oh, yeah. Why not? Who's going to beat you?
Now
the other people are probably getting polka dot Ferraris because of it.
Oh, probably. He probably started a trend, man. He's trendsetter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sadly, not everybody's running out to have missing teeth. That isn't, I'm not setting any trends there.
What happened? How'd you miss is that a high stick?
No, slap shot to the face. I've had 2 of them in my days.
Yeah, 2 teeth knocked out, or 2 slap shots to the face?
2 slap shots to the face.
So you got the tooth knocked out on one. What happened in the other one?
I got like 4 knocked out on the other one, and they've all been fixed. It's been a long time. It's been like 15, 16 years since I had a top jib. And I used to get the plates and stuff, but then, you get good, having a good time, and then you forget where you put said plate, and now you're out like $400 or $500, and you're like, well, I'm not doing that again. And then you get married.
Guys always like the look too. Guys like teeth.
Guys are great. Come on. Guys all the time are like, you're not getting a tooth put back in. You look way better. And I'm like, you're saying that because I look like a jackass, right? Like, I look like a jackass. It's okay. Women are all like, you're such a handsome guy if you just get a tooth put in. And I'm like, I know, ladies. I know. Right. I'm married. I'm good.
Because if a guy's laughing like with no teeth, he just looks like a bigger beauty. You're like, look at this guy. It's awesome.
Yeah, every time I open my mouth, I make people smile. That is true.
There you go. Perfect.
For a guy who was a goalie, you come from goaltenders are a different breed. You probably heard that an awful lot.
Hear that a lot. All the time, for sure.
Normally goalies are a little, I don't know, introverted, at least in the guys I've met. What was different about you? What is different about you?
Yeah, I was never that. And you know what? It sucked in some ways. Like when we hit like junior and I knew I wasn't going to play anywhere, I was like, holy shit. But that's 90s hockey. Like, literally, if you wanted to fight, you could make any team, like any to the junior A level, not major junior. You'd have to be incredibly tough if you're a terrible player. But like, I remember there'd be guys that stick around that would just if they fought, they could stick around and play. So I remember it pissed me off. I was like, fuck, man, I shouldn't have been a goalie. Like I was never an introvert. Like I was always I always wanted to fight in games, but well, I can't fight this guy because I got all this equipment on. I can't just go skate and fight the other goalie for no reason. He'll be like, what the hell's going on? So even when I knew I'd tried out and got cut everywhere, I went through like every junior team, called the coaches, and they are like, oh, we're set, goalie, we're set. And Kindersley was like my last call, and I called them, and he's like, no, we're set. And I was like, fuck. And I was just like, well, I'll come fight. And he's like, what? He goes, aren't you a goalie? I was like, real bad. Like, I'll be like you can extra forward. I'll just fight. And the day I don't fight, you can send me home. And he was like, what is going on? Like, and then two of my buddies played on Kindersley at that time. And they started laughing later. It was like Wayne Labrie had like, did you fucking call Wayne Labrie and offer to fight for on our team? And he kind of just shut her down. But yeah, man, I wish I was never a goalie. I was never meant to be a goalie. I kind of even flexible. It was just that era of, I don't know. You win one tournament, like in novice, like, oh, fuck, I should be the goalie. That's what happened. And then I kept going. Like I couldn't even touch my toes. And then that catches up to you. At the beginning, you can be good that way. Then later on, other people are like, oh, look, this guy's actually an athletic in that. Like I just stacked the pads. I should have been a goalie in the era of the 60s. Then I maybe would have went somewhere, but otherwise useless.
I can't remember if I read this or if I heard you talk about this. Maybe both. I can't remember anymore. In preparation for this, I listened to a lot of Kelly Taylor. I read a bunch about Kelly Taylor. I talked about you going to PA Raiders camp, and you're like, you had no business being there. So you used a broken stick so that you could get a brand new stick or something along the lines.
Pat's camp. I had business being there. Yeah. So when I was, we won Bantam AA provincials, and we had a great year. Awesome year. And then I was going to Regina as a 16-year-old, and their coach was Norm Johnson at the time. And he called, and they had two older goalies. So they were going to get rid of one, and it looked like I was going to move in. I was like, holy man. Like the wheels in my head is like 16-year-old making the WHL. Like if you're 16-year-old in the dub, I was like, man, your chance to get drafted in the NHL are good. I was like, oh my God. And so I go to this camp, and he said, we're going to see what you look like through the exhibition. So I knew I was supposed to stay for exhibition. So during camp, I broke my stick, but it was broken where it was just kind of flapping. The blade was still on. I was like, oh man. I was like, all I have is inter squad, and inter squad, you got three goalies on each team. You only got to play one period. I was like, fuck, I got to be able to get through a period with a broken stick, because then you get a free stick because you're on the squad. Man, it was the worst. Like, what an idiot. Think of that nowadays. Like, we were just talking about this with my buddies yesterday. Like, you shit me. I let in 5 goals on 11 shots. And the very last one, I went to try to play the puck. And I tried to almost hit it with the heel, hit it, and it just flopped like that. And I was far out, by the hash marks. And I think it's Rhett Gordon skates in for the blue line and just throws it in the empty net. Oh, Norm Johnson came in after the first period and lost his shit on me. It came in, it was quiet, and I was kind of looped around the side, and I was like, oh, and everyone was talking, and it was dead silence. I was like, oh, he's in here. And then he came around the corner, and he's like, look at you. And he's like, I remember he goes, people come here thinking if they should spend their money on Pat season tickets, and they see horse shit like you, and they say, I should stay at home and drink beer instead of this. And that was it, man. And then so he said that after the first, and after I had the meeting, and then he lets me go. I was like, man, I don't know that was bad. He goes, that couldn't have been any worse. I was like, yeah. He goes, okay, you know what? Go down now to AAA. He goes, play lots, get lots under you, and we'll see what happens. And I went back to AAA, and as soon as I got there, I never even had a sniff of starting. So I went from having this great year Bantam AA to think I'm being a 16-year-old in the dub to go into AAA and not even getting a chance and just backing up there and eating shit there the whole time. And that's that. And then senior hockey, it all came back, and I loved it again.
You're 16-year-old. You're talking about making the dub, and then you decide to use a broken twig to get a free one, and you go, yeah, that just doesn't align.
No, just idiot. But hey, you know what? What happens if I had that good stick? I make the team. I ended up playing years in pro hockey, and now I'm scrounging for a job. All my friends played pro hockey, and they're all working now. And I'm living the life, slinging jokes at bars and clubs and everywhere. Got a holiday for life. So I'm just like not getting Kimmel the tape. I'm looking at the glass half full.
Well, that's fair. I'll give you that one. Probably all your pro buddies will give you that one. But that is pretty funny. I gotta say, you need the twig. We're gonna see if I can make it work for a period. It's only 20 minutes.
20 minutes, man. 20 minutes.
Bitch.
Oh,
What
a loser I am.
When did you get into comedy? Like, when did you know this was something you were gonna take a stab at? Like, I've read the article, maybe even listened to it as well. You talk about your first gig, like you're actually the headliner for a corporate event, which is super rare. But like, when did you know? When did you know you were gonna be like, yeah, I want to try this?
So the first gig was we'll pass that first gig when I was in university, and then there was they had kind of comedy at these open mic things and that, and then I went out, and the first time went good, and then kept going and started, and you could go lots. Like, say they had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they'd have regulars at each show. So I would write a set for that Monday crowd, and then you'd run it the week, and then you'd have those same regulars, and then I thought you'd give them a new set each week. So it was great for writing. So I started building up material real fast. Whereas a lot of comics in big cities would have trouble getting stage time. You're just starting out. Where in SAS, there wasn't enough comics. So they're like, hey, man, can you come out to the show? Like, there's barely anyone here. We just need guys filling in time. So you could do longer sets instead of 3 minutes. Like, hey, can you stretch to 20? So now you're doing longer than you could. And then you got to work on like crowd work and all this just to get material going. And then it got to the point where it was going good. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know. Like, does a guy go this way? And then it's literally like, man, you live once. I was like, if I don't go full tilt into this, then why not? I said, hockey, I end up not getting anything done. I got it half-assed, so I'm gonna put myself fully into it, and then did, and that was it. It went good, and never looked back.
But by sounds of it, by the time you're at university, you're already like, yeah, I'm gonna try this. Like, I went to university. I didn't have an inkling in my body that goes, hey, we should try an open mic night. I'm not saying I wouldn't have got up there. You put enough of these beverages in me, I probably would have got up there and made an ass of myself. I'm sure there are plenty that do. But it wasn't even a thought.
Oh, no. Like, I was a huge stand-up fan. Like, as soon as I turned 19, like, I could not wait because they had stand-up comp. Yuck Yucks used to come through PA at that time. So I turned 19 on a Wednesday. Then Thursday was the stand-up. And when I saw stand-up for the first time live, I was like, fuck, man, look at these guys. I just thought, what a great life. Like, these two guys would be in a car together. I was like, oh, just having a great time. And then coming here at night, having drinks and just telling jokes. And then right when I saw that, I was like, oh, man, that looks like the greatest job in the world. I was like, that's what I want to do. And I always loved stand-up. And I was always, like, when I came into a party or that, I was always the guy who was nuts anyway. So, and then the first few years of stand-up, a lot of it was bar shows too. So it was almost, I'd get on their level too. So if there's a heavy drinking crowd, I'd get just like them, just so I would fit in. Like, I didn't write as much material. So it was almost like I was just a guy at the party. And then as you progress, you're like, man, I got to write better stuff, maybe fine tune this. And then you get into like a corporate show and you're like, holy shit. And they're like, can you be squeaky clean in this? And they're like, oh man, I got to start writing more. And that's the thing, the more stand-up you do, you get into different situations where you're like, well, that bar stuff doesn't work here. And then you get into, maybe you're in the States and like, well, that doesn't work here. And then I do use something else. Like, the more material you have, the easier it is for each show. Like, I did a show with all Jewish people, and my manager, he was a Jewish guy at the time. He's like, you might want to leave out the camping joke and this joke. And like, a camping joke at that point was like my big joke at that certain time. And he looks at me and goes, Jews don't camp. I was like, okay. And I was like, I never thought of that. Okay. And you just keep writing and writing. And the more you do it, the easier it is, because you don't want to get pigeonholed in one set. At the beginning, you got to live by that one set, and and it's almost like you look for that crowd. Like, oh, there's this type of crowd tonight. This should go good. And then the more you keep doing it after years and years, you kind of just assess the crowd. Like, okay, and it's almost like the Terminator. You go through the things in your head. You're like, that probably cut out. You could keep that, but put a different spin on that. Will come like that. And maybe these old ladies, just the word bitch, like I can be squeaky clean, but there's one joke where the punchline is bitch, but I was like, even that, do I have to cut that out today? And you're like, it's a whole different thing. I don't even think that was the question, but I went somewhere else with it.
No, that's all good. As you know, from how are you enjoying podcasting? Because the thing of what you're saying, that isn't the question. And I just think, well, that's podcasting 101. I guess I don't really, right? Like that's the fun of it, right? Where the rabbit hole leads at all times. And I just try and follow along. Have you been enjoying it?
Yeah. And you know what? The thing that it bugs me the most is that I don't do it more because I put it off. It's the biggest procrastination thing of anything else. Like in stand-up, you have a set up time. Like, hey, you got a 7:00 show on Thursday, and then your 9:00 Friday, and you can't procrastinate. You get there and you do that. Whereas podcasting, I always look at it as like, oh, what are we gonna do here? What are we gonna add? I don't know. And then I procrastinate, and then I was like, do I get this guest? And I was like, and I just don't get it done. And then as soon as I do a podcast and you think, oh, is this enough questions? Fuck, man, you could have 50 questions down for someone. You get to 4, and that's all you really need to do. And that's what could happen here. You might have 50 and then we just do it. And as soon as I'm done the podcast, everyone I've done, as soon as I'm done, it's like, fuck, man, that was fun. Why do I procrastinate all the time? Why do I do that? And then I get mad at myself again. It's like, oh, I should do a podcast today. But I was like, oh, first I should go for this cross-country ski, get a little energy. And then you do this. And then I'm just an idiot like that. An absolute idiot.
Well, I would say you'll be happy to have your 50 questions if you ever get Grant Fuhr. No slight on Grant Fuhr, but that guy has the shortest answers I've ever heard in my life. It's just
Matt.
How was winning the Stanley Cups? Good. Did you have fun at night? Yes. Do you care to elaborate? Not really. Son of a bitch, Grant. I'm going to go through 1,000 questions here. I just need you to answer them. I just need you to give me something. What was playing with the great one like? He's the great one.
Yeah, that's funny. So I'm an Oilers guy. And I'm a goalie. So my number one guy was Messier, but my goalie was Fuhr. So then they say, and I've done a bunch of those hot stoves of the Husky Luncheon and Hockey Heroes and all these other things. And you meet all these guys, and the guys you don't think you like when you were a kid watching hockey, like Chris Chelios. What's he? The biggest beauty. Unbelievable, great interview, awesome. We had supper the night before, just a huge beauty. And it's been like that with all these other guys. And then Grant Fuhr is my hero. Now we're doing one for the Raiders. And you know what? I knew so much extra stuff on him. Like it was like, there's one guy I know everything about. And then I watched, and then there's that Making the Cocoa too. But yeah, he was very quick and like this, boom, boom, and didn't give up too much too. But I don't know, some of the guys, I heard that about Messier, and I've never met Messier, but he's such a he was such a leader that he won't give you anything up on other guys too, because you don't want to throw guys under the bus either. Like he's still a leader. Like this is the team. I'm not gonna fucking throw you any dirt, you greasy comic that wants to get something on his podcast. So I don't know. Yeah, Grant was live, but yeah, he was a little extra work on him for sure.
You say dirt. I don't know. I don't think I've had many a guy now come on, and it's just whether they're willing to talk, right? Like to me, just like how was winning this? Like, do you really got to throw any dirt on the Oilers for winning the Stanley Cups and being in there? Given like, man, the parties were unbelievable. How so? Just imagine winning 3 in a row and being 3 years old and having the world at your fingertips. You can do the imagination. Oh, okay, right? Like, all right. Like Marty McSorley was on, and when he does, I've seen him live, and like when he talks,
I worked with Marty in a small town in Sass too. Yeah,
he tells some stories, and like when he came on the podcast, he was a little more engaged, just reserved because he knew he was being recorded, but he still told the stories, just in a way that didn't put anybody in a bad light, right? Like, I don't know. It's just a gift probably more than anything. And it's no slight on Grant. Geez, I had Healy on and I asked Healy if you're in the room was a little more talkative, and he just started laughing. He's like, and then, he like defended Fuhr. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to throw Fuhr under the bus. I just, you expect a guy, he has all the world to talk about. He's won so much. He's played with some of the best players. He's played for Team Canada. He's just not a talkative guy, or at least when it comes to being on a podcast, he's not a talkative guy.
Yeah, those guys, and some of them got to be more reserved too, just because some people will fine tooth comb anything. Like you can say something and not even really mean that.
Yeah.
And then someone just spins it like, oh my God, like what? We're watching football. Chris Collins was like trying to compliment those women on knowing so much about the football, like just insane, like complimenting that, like, man, you know a lot. Like it didn't mean that, oh, women don't know anything about football, but someone just spun with it. It's like, man, this guy was trying to give a compliment. Like he wasn't in any sense. You could tell he wasn't saying anything bad. We're like, oh man, no wonder why people don't want to talk half the time like that. You get your words spun around.
It's strange times right now, like strange beyond strange times, right?
Yep, it sure is.
How's
like those guys, and those guys were in the era of no cell phones. Anything goes. Like all you gotta do is just deny it, even if they're like, "Hey man, you were doing that." Like, nah, no, that wasn't me. You pretty sure I think I saw you. Nah, man, that wasn't me. Ask Mark. He was with me that day. No, that wasn't him. Oh, okay. So later, different times, man.
how happy are you as a kid you didn't have cell phones snapping everything you did?
Oh man, yeah, pretty happy, man. That's like what they would go through now of just everything. Like you couldn't, and we did so much stupid stuff too. Like, oh, just so happy I didn't have to deal with that. That's all it is, just a relief and the beauty. Like that's why I like hiking and just doing things and getting away from, like, as soon as you get in a bush or something, there's just zero cell phone service. Like there, done. It's out of sight, out of mind. Like we went the West Coast Trail 7 days and you have no phone, and then because there's zero service, and then as soon as we were getting off, we're like 7 days, and we were like fucking did not want to hear the cell phone beep and then have to deal back with the world again. That's a little bit different than the topic of recording everything, but just to get away from a phone feels so good, man. So good.
Wow. I haven't done that trail. I'd like to. I understand that. I mean, coming from a small town, I mean, you get out on the field, you get out wherever, you get out, heck, we're going to go do a little pond hockey here a couple nights down the road here in the week. Got the lights set up. Just 8 people on the ice. Actually, it's 4 people on the ice. Whatever the new rule is, that's what it's going to be.
That's the number we're running, man. You should see the firewood I'm going out with. We've been living outside and keeping it at 10, and then that's what you do. People come over. We've got 3 fire pits. You got family there. That the whole Christmas was outside, man. I don't even go inside. I'm just inside right now. I've been outside all day. We went ice fishing, and I went cross country skiing, and then I came in and we're doing this right now. But yeah, outside. That's where it's at.
Well, when it comes to young kids, especially probably high school age through their first couple of years of university, they should outlaw cell phones, man. Like, we all do stupid crap. That's what those age ranges are for. You're out there to do stupid crap. We
watched yesterday. I'm waiting outside, watch practice, and I got to wait outside for my boy to come out. And my sister, her boy plays the team. Like, look at all these young kids racing around the parking lot in the Art Hauser Center. They're wheeling around and they're pulling the e-brake at every corner and going. And there was 3 or 4 cars and they were doing it. I was like, and she's like, oh my God, what are they thinking? I was like, these kids are 16 or 17. I said, I remember when we had curfew nights for AAA, you couldn't go out and drink or party or anything. So all we looked for was a good stretch of road that had ice on it. And I said, that's all we'd do. We had till 10 o'clock to pull e-brakes. I said, you're 16 or 17. Who cares? But now you film anything, you might look like oh, look at these kids are so bad. We did it back road. No one knew about it. We went home. Nothing happened. Boom.
Or you found a good parking lot and you tested out that new Mustang and seen what it could do. And we used to do figure 8 after figure 8 after figure 8. Mm-hmm. Thank the Lord my parents didn't know half the crap I did. I mean, this podcast alone has probably shed light on some of the stupidity they had no idea happened.
Oh, yep. That's why, yeah. My mom's like, what is that podcast thing you're doing? I was like, get out of here, Mom. You can listen to the Natasha Stanishevsky one, then fuck off.
Well, I got to tell my mom listens religiously. and I got to tell her earmuffs all the
I'm
time.
sorry, I don't usually swear that much. Actually.
No. Actually, it doesn't bother me any. But I gotta warn her every once in a while. Earmuffs, Mom. It's okay. It's okay. It's just a word. It's just a word.
Yeah, that's right. I usually don't. I don't know why I am. Jeez, must be fired up.
Well, it must be the toothless guy with a beer in his hand. I get it.
Exactly.
You're playing to the crowd, Kelly.
That's right. You're throwing me off. As I'm over here like a loser drinking a tea.
Is that what you got? Tea?
Yes. I clean my system out all the time, usually January, because I go on such a heater for the holidays, because it starts about November 15th. You just can drink it anytime. Like, tis the season. And then I'm about 18 pounds heavier than January. I always say, I'm cleaning the system. So I might clean the system for a while because it's COVID. I got no work lined up. I was like, I'll run with it for a while.
See, and I'm the opposite. I went 45 days with no booze up until December 15th. So all of November till December 15th, we ran a 12-hour live stream radiothon here in Lloyd raising money for the Health Foundation. And since then, I've been like, all right, I'm okay to have a couple beers. I'm not going to feel bad about it. And then on top of it, this is a shameless plug, but Three Trees, a restaurant in town, local restaurant in town, is supplying.
Is that the one right by the Hampton?
Yeah, I think that's
Hampton
the Hampton.
Inn on the
West side. Yeah. Yeah, so Three Trees.
Yeah.
It used to be
Rock and Creek, or is it across? I know exactly.
Rock Creek.
I know the place. It's the place I go when I'm in Lloyd. I stay at the Hampton and go to Three Trees. Yes.
Okay, so Three Trees is now doing growlers.
You got a growler there. Yeah,
I do.
I love it. Good.
And so they're supplying the beer for the podcast, and so it's even more dangerous. I mean, got a little Fourth Meridian, a little local brewery in the cup. That's another shameless plug, and yeah, it's pretty good.
You got to plug if there's sponsors. Look at I'm wearing my bar T-shirt right now. That's the first thing you got to do is get the beer. Gillette's beer. Then I got my player hat up there. Always represent, man. That's how you make these podcasts work, man. Come on.
Now,
love it.
The first thing I did when I knew you were coming on, actually, it's about the sixth thing I did, but close to the first because there was a multiple checklist I do. Is I texted Scotty Hartnell because I know you guys are tight, and I'm like, I want to know what I should ask Mr. Taylor about, and he said I should ask you about sitting in Philly on a patio and whether or not that was whether there was any laughs had on said patio.
Oh man, what a time. That whole thing was, so I went down to Philly. Scotty said Philly got out to a 1-7 start, and he's like, fuck man, it's bad here right now. We just need a laugh or just need to change something up. He goes, why don't you come down here and like do the dressing room? I was like, dressing room? And I was like, fuck, that's kind of awkward. But I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Well, I'm going to do anything he said anyways. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm in Edmonton doing this comedy festival. And I remember thinking I got this early flight to Philly. Like I got to be in the lobby at like 4. And I was like, don't drink tonight. Just take the night off. You've already drank for a few days of this festival. Get to Philly and you'll be fresh. I'm the last one standing at the after party. Go straight down, like don't even really sleep. Catch a flight to Philly, and then I was supposed to. What was that? Oh, Hartnell was going to pick me up, and then he goes, message me when you get to Mini. So then I messaged him when we're at Mini, and he's like, hey man, we're at the football game. I won't be able to pick you up. I'll give you a cab, or I'll tell you where to go and just grab a cab. I was like, oh fuck, I'm just haggard, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to party now? No way. Brutal. So I didn't want to party. And then I land in Philly. He's like, hey man, we're back at my place after things. I was like, oh, perfect. Just go to his place. But I get a cab. As soon as I get in there, the boys are having drinks. So I get right back in. Or now I'm playing catch up. We have a great time. And then we wake up, do the show in the morning. So it's a morning. Like we got a morning skate. I woke up. I thought I was still in Edmonton. I was like, oh man. I had to do a show that morning. It's not like they got beers in the training room or anything. So usually I don't usually sling jokes at 11 in the morning after their practice and that. And then 2, I would usually have 1 or 2 to like try to focus. Man, when I started talking, doing comedy for the team, it felt like I had marbles in my mouth. Hartnell's got his hand on his head like, what the fuck was I thinking bringing this guy down here? He's going to choke. But then I caught Jacob Voracek picking his nose and rolling a booger and then kind of went off. And show ended up going good. And I was like, oh, now I got second energy. Here we go. And Hart's like, what do you want, man? You want to take a siesta or you want to go for a drink? I said, fuck, now show's done. We're going to Pearl Jam that night. He's like, buddy, let's do it. We went downtown Philly. And this is at Hartnell's like beard, hair, huge, man. He is huge in Philly. Diener, his agent, said at that time he was the number 1 recognizable athlete in Philly. Like I'm talking ahead of Michael Vick. Unreal. Everyone was walking by, like it was nothing but laughs, and everyone would walking by with like, oh, Scotty Hart, like everyone knew him. And then these 2 girls behind us kind of popped their head up, and she's like, excuse me, who are you and why are you such a big deal? They had nothing but laughs. And then we go to the game and we jump this fence and people are tailgating, not the game, the concert. People are tailgating. And now Hartnell's coming in to his own rink and he's like, hey, you got a beer in there? And the guy's like, well, the way I do for Scotty Hartnell. And he tosses me and Hart some beer. And then we walked into like, is it the Wells Fargo? Is that what their rink's called? Or what the hell are they called? Whatever their rank is.
Yeah.
Like splitting the Red Sea, walking with Hearts down there, man. Just everyone like, wow, Scotty Hartnell. And he loves it. He's so good with everyone. He's the perfect guy for that too. Just the biggest beauty, just walking through. He was awesome. Always is, every time. Try to not have a good time with that guy. You're dead. Oh man.
When did you first get hooked up with Scotty? Was it PA then?
Nope, and that's what people just assume because he played in PA. It was his golf tournament.
The one in Lloyd.
The one in Lloyd. There was that one was MacArthur, Holtby, and Hartnell was that one. And then I just knew so many hockey guys in there, and it would have been it is kind of a tough gig because it was so busy and it was so hard to get people's attention. But like I knew enough on each guy in there, like. So like the one comic went on and he's such a good comic, but he's a hockey fan of that, but he might not look at a guy and know who that is and know inside stuff. Like Mike Sillinger sitting front row when I went to walk on stage and right there I was like, well, boom, like Mike Sillinger's playing on 12 NHL teams. I was like, oh my God, look, Mike Sillinger here. You've been throwing on more deals than a spray on bedliner at Jubilee Ford. So then right there, guys, like the hockey mentality, like, chirping guys, they like that. So that's what hockey is. So then I would go around the horn and kind of just start yapping off at each guy, and then made a joke about how Colby Armstrong was there and how Armstrong, he used to come to shows when I was doing them in Saskatoon when he was playing on the Thrashers, and then he was in Pittsburgh at that point, and I was doing lots of colleges after that, and I was going down to Pennsylvania, and he would get me tickets. I was like, just if you guys could just be like Colby Armstrong and give me your cell numbers for tickets, that'd be great. And then as soon as the show finished, Hartnell grabbed my phone, then threw it to the next guy, to MacArthur, got the next guy down. They all just put their numbers in there. If you ever need tickets, yep, no problem, buddy. It's like, and that's kind of like where all my hockey gigs kind of started, was from Hartnell's golf tournament in Lloyd. How
did they get you to Lloyd? Like, did you get signed up for that?
No, it was the other comic. And he got asked, and we were doing a comedy festival in Saskatoon. And it was a Tuesday, and he offered me, he goes, hey man, you want to take this money? He goes, I think I screwed up on the budget because it was a Tuesday in July, Tuesday in July, which is, July is notoriously a slow month for comedians, and a Tuesday gig, like Tuesday gigs are almost non-existent. So he undercut what he would have said. Like, he's like, oh man, I went dirt cheap. And then I found out it's like this big hockey function. He goes, I'll split it with you. So I remember the money being like not good. But I was like, yeah, sure, man. I got nothing to do. We'll jet up there together. It's a golf tournament. Let's do it. And did it. Then after the next year, they're like, hey, we want you back. And then when they said they want me back, I was like, okay, but it ain't for that money you had last year. I'll tell you that right now. That was a get my foot in the door. Let's crank that price up now. And it went just like that.
You don't send the tape to Kimmel. You use a broken hockey twig in your tryouts. Those are some of the poor ones, but going to Lloyd for free, that was a smart decision.
Oh no, not free. 375. He guy put it down at 750. I think they had Ricky. Or did they have something with the trailer park? I think they had Randy and Leahy or something. So Randy and Leahy wouldn't be cheap. That was their common entertainment of the year before or something. And they had the Trues were there when we were there. So it was like, man, they had a budget. And he's like, we screwed up. 750 was the wrong budget for that one. But then we split it. So it was 375. Yeah, we split. I wouldn't be doing 375 is old school bar money at the beginning.
How much did you make on your first well, you're saying 370. What was your first gig? How much did you make on your first gig?
The first one was comics can start off and you can be an open micer. There's nothing that says you're going to climb a ladder. Like they can be doing comedy for 5 years before they get a sniff. Like I'm so glad because comedy's hard enough. Can you imagine slinging jokes and not doing well and fighting for stage time and never getting paid? So there's a lot like that. And then there's some that climb a certain different way. But my first one was that corporate gig, so I had no clue how to start in comedy. Like I didn't know you had to start where you'd start an open mic and you get 3 to 5 minutes, and then you build and you build and you build. I just told my mom I wanted to be a comedian, but I had no idea how to do it. Like I wasn't in a big city. I had no one to talk to, ask a question. So when my mom came up to me and she worked at the bank, she's like, "Hey, Kelly, the bank is thinking of having a comedian for our Christmas party," which is when that's what all the clean comics come out that have been doing it for at least 10 years. And, they're very professional and good. And I was like, and I remember in my head, I'm like 20, 21. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like that would be my crowd. Like even though I'd never done comedy, I didn't know that I would need a certain type of crowd. I was like, that doesn't sound good. But then in my head, I was like, well, no one's asking me to do stand-up. Like, who's going to ask you to hire you to do stand-up if you don't do it all the time and be a comic? Like, I just thought that's how you start. People call you. And I was like, whatever, I'll take it. And she's like, okay, how much do you want? And I was like, well, how much do I want? I was like, I don't know, like, it's $100. Can I get $100? And she's like, she goes back, oh yeah, $100. Like, can you imagine $100 for a comic for a corporate function? So I signed up and I was like, how long do they want? And she's like, I don't know, it's like an hour work. And I had no clue. I had no idea how long a comic's supposed to start with. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try. Yeah. So I like my first gig ever, which in any comic in the history of stand-up comedy, like I don't think any comics ever went out and was like, yeah, I'll my first set, how long do you do? I did an hour. So I had like a bunch of stories, and then, I get a few drinks and you just start like being ridiculous. And I was like, at the end of the day, the gig didn't actually go that bad. I've had a million gigs go a lot worse than that one. So, oh man.
What did your mom say about it? She says you were good?
Yeah, she didn't mind it at all. I wasn't overly dirty, I guess, at that one, because I knew it when she said the bank. I just pictured old ladies in a teller, which was probably a smart move by me, but I didn't. And my mom's in the crowd. Like if my mom comes to a show, she'll ask what kind of show I'm doing, and then she loves it. And I was like, oh yeah. And I'll tell my mom, say, yeah, come to this one. And then there's ones that just be squeaky clean, no swearing, and she loves almost hearing it because a lot of my stuff is very real. She's like, oh yeah, that's your brother. That's how he acts. Yeah. That's that story of you burning that tear at the beach. Yeah, that's a true story. And she just sits there like, yeah, I was there for that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, an hour for $100 off the hop. That's ridiculous.
Side note, what's the score in the football game?
28-0. I saw Cleveland is going to town. I'm not even a huge, I like watching football, but some guys like Sunday, that's my day. It's like, man, I used to, pre-COVID, I'd work every weekend and I would come home. I can't imagine being gone every day and then coming home with 4 kids. Like, no, Sunday's Dad's day. Get out of my hair. I know I've been on the road for 3 days. So as much as I would like to get into football, when I catch maybe 2 games a year, and I appreciate when I watch them. But besides that, I usually background and I'm cooking, doing something, playing with the kids. I never get to sit down and watch a game on a Sunday. Are you kidding me?
That's fair. I'm in the same boat. Although I did make the kids watch a lot of World Juniors, and there was no qualms over it. I was like, we're watching this.
No, yeah, my kids are all into it. Like that's even the 10-year-old will sit and watch it. The 7-year-old, I don't know, he's span of attention so terrible. But yeah, World Juniors is the best. Wife sits down for World Juniors. Daughter sits down for World Juniors. Everyone does. Best.
That's because it's the best.
It is the best.
That finals game. I know we didn't get the result we wanted, but that finals game, minus maybe the first period because Canada was getting thumped on, but even that finals game is some of like the best hockey you will ever watch, especially when it's Canada and the States.
Yeah, and I don't know. I hate losing to the States.
Hate it.
It bugs me because I don't know if it's more than Russia or it's something to do with they already think they're the best at everything anyways. And then it's almost like they're like, hey, Canada, and we're better at your game. Like, just like, oh, you bastards. Quit. Like, man, like, it drives me nuts. But whatever, man. The Americans did play great, and they got those two top lines. When those top lines are running at the one point where in Canada looked so dominant, and me and my boy looked at each other like, fuck, man. Right when they scored and they hemmed Canada in for a while, like, Canada can't even get it out of their end right now. It's like, boom. You're like, hey, yeah, we're in tight here.
Well, I graduated or went to school in Ashland, Wisconsin. And the guy who texted me not 5 seconds after the Americans won is from there. And he's got a brewery with his dad. So I'm sporting him, and I don't know why, because he's a jackass, and he's probably listening to this right now. So shout out to you, Belanger, because as soon as they lost, he's like, how about those Canadians, eh? They're like, fuck you. Right? You
hey, what's the name of the college?
Northland College, Division III hockey.
But I did every college there was in Wisconsin. Every college there is in Wisconsin, I've performed at. I was doing 2-a-days in Wisconsin. I would do nooners and night because I did American colleges for 9 years. And then this, like, listen to this as a joke. My agent goes, they tried to bill me like, because they would do certain regions, and the northeast part, you had like, you get like Wisconsin, I had Michigan, Iowa, Pennsylvania, and I got so many bookings. My agent tried to bill me as a former professional hockey player. I was like, whoa. I go, no, I never played pro hockey. You can't say that. She's like, I thought you said you got paid $100 a game. I was like, no, that's senior hockey. Like, I played senior hockey and you got $100 a game. And she was looking at me and she's like, Kelly, I'm sorry to break it to you. If you're getting paid to play hockey, you're a professional. And I was like, holy shit. If my friends heard this and see this on a billboard, they would lose their minds speaking me right now. Former professional hockey player turned comic. That is a huge joke in its own right. But they always played this angle of like me being a hockey player. And then there's this Pete Holmes. He has a show on HBO called Crashing. It's hilarious. And he plays himself. And Pete was on our roster for his Auburn Moon Agency. And he does an episode in this thing of NACA is actually what these showcases are called. And it's dead on. You go in and you're squeaky clean to these university students because they get offended by a lot of things. And in Americans, I did Canadian colleges for 1 year. Greatest time, man. Party, drink, great times. Went to the Americans circuit. You are like the other, they're trying to get the non-drinkers. Like, they're trying to get people to not drink to come to you because the drinking age is 21 anyways. So it's almost like I wrote this new nerd hour, but they do this thing. The agent will sit you down, like, don't do this, don't do that. They'll get offended by this. And then they're like, do your hockey stuff, especially when I got into that region in Wisconsin, Michigan. And I think I booked every college there was, man. I was everywhere in Wisconsin. Great state. I love the Wisconsin people, too. It was great. Lots of beers, too. Pubs on every corner.
Wisconsin is as close to Saskatchewan as you'll find in the United States.
Yeah.
They love their hunting, their fishing. Instead of hockey, they're football, right? Like, yeah. I mean, they love the Packers. And it has got to be the only place. I want you to think about this. On Tuesday nights, $5, all you could drink draft beer.
Really? $5?
And then we went on a road trip down to Milwaukee one night. One stretch on days off from school or whatever. I can't even remember now, but it doesn't matter. We went to a Brewers game, and that night we ended up at this bar on the middle of the week, call it a Wednesday, and it was dollar anythings. Dollar anythings.
Yeah.
Get
Oh, yeah.
anything.
I've been to dollar anythings.
And I'll do one more. When the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl, that would have been 2000. Oh, crap. NFL fans are going to hate me. Doesn't matter. We went to the Neighborly Pub in Ashland, paid $20 to get in, got you a wristband. You could drink as much as you wanted. Got you dinner and supper.
Dinner? You mean like lunch, like 2 meals?
Like lunch
Because
and supper. Lunch and
Because I
dinner.
go
However you
dinner,
want to.
supper anyways.
Yeah, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. You get lunch and supper, dinner, whatever we're calling it. And there were old and the age demographic in the bar was awesome too, because it was like there was underagers in there, so there was like 18-year-olds who couldn't drink, all the way up to like probably 75-year-olds, and the 75-year-olds were buying Coronas by the bucket, which I was just like, just get a wristband. You can have as many buckets as you want. I don't understand, right? And then when they won, those 70-year-olds partied like something. Probably I just can't even like put it into words. Like, I assume if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup and I'm 70, I'm going to be partying with the youngins and being like, this was amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's how it was in Green Bay. It was unbelievable. So they love their football. They love their hunting, their fishing, their outdoors, and their drinking. Man, can they put back the liquor.
Yeah, great. Love it. Like you said, great ballpark, Miller Ballpark.
Oh, Miller Park's great.
They tailgate and you can drink your beer right until you walk in. And there's like, usually like you got to hide. You can't drink certain ones like that. And I was like, oh, no, drink it. Finish that up. Come in. Okay. Wisconsin, River Falls. Is there River Falls?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So they're playing their rivalry one night, and they wanted me to do a teaser because I was on after the hockey game back at the university, and it was called Blackout Night. And I was like, oh, where I come from, Blackout Night means something else. So it started out with, and this is like, people are like, what's the weirdest gig you've ever done, like somewhere? They wanted me to go on the ice and at intermission and do like, 3 to 5 minutes of material. I was like, okay, a little awkward, but whatever. And then it went to like, hey, do you want to wear some skates and skate around and tell some jokes? And I was like, well, now this is ridiculous. Why wouldn't I? So now I get a story out of it. And then like, as I'm sitting there, they come back like, hey, Kelly, you're being a really good sport. You feel free to say no, but what if we put you in the Zamboni? Like, we'll clean out all the snow up top, and then we'll stop at center ice. And then, it stops and it goes like that. And the front comes up, and I slid out on my skates and then skated around and told jokes. It was ridiculous, but it was like, who the hell hides in a Zamboni, stops at center ice, pops out and slings some jokes? But I think there's a few people in the crowd like, what is going on? That was my teaser for my show that night that I had to go perform later at the university. Oh, man, the stuff I do. I'm a pushover for anything. People are like, yeah, you're a good sport. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a good friend of ours played for River Falls. We got absolutely pumped by River Falls. You're bringing back some bad memories. We were
the rivalry beat show. I remember there was I'm thinking about.
My wife is from Minneapolis. She knows she would know exactly who it would be, and I can't. I don't know.
I remember having the T-shirt forever, but
I got a River Falls T-shirt at home. Weirdly,
my agent for colleges threw in, for some weird reason, in the rider a hooded sweater, which is a bunny hug to me, which I ended up getting the bunny hug joke in each time because I was looking for material when I had to write my new Nerd Hour material in the U.S. So I ended up, I left my first college gig. We ended up being the #1 booked guy at the first 2 NACAs. So I was gone. I left October 22nd and got home December 23rd. You should have seen my trunk of my car with bunny hugs, man. It was just ridiculous. I came home at Christmas and just threw, and who doesn't like getting a bunny hug? So everyone I came at Christmas, I just had a pile of bunny hugs on the floor. I was like, help yourself, guys. Merry Christmas. Everyone gets a bunny hug.
What's the one you kept?
It was a nice embroidered one that had a hockey skate lace up through here. I ended up keeping, no, I didn't keep one. I kept about 5 because I had so many. I remember Cabrillo. I don't know where Cabrillo was. That might have been in Pennsylvania. I had something from North Dakota was a nice one, but I don't know. I had a Green Bay one. I had a Green Bay. I remember keeping Green Bay just because it was Green Bay, and I was like, I got to keep this Green Bay one.
Have you been to Lambeau Field?
There's that hotel. I stayed in that hotel across the road, it's beyond disgusting, man. Like they don't even clean the party up. No one stays. I don't even think anyone stays there when it's not like a Green Bay Packer game. And I stayed there. Like it's probably $200 a night or $300 a night with a Green Bay game. It's like, I think it's like $49 any other off night. There was chips and beer cans and everything. They didn't even clean the room. It was like under the bed and just to the side of the counter. It was disgusting. But I was like, I don't care. I stay in so many bad hotels. It doesn't faze me at all.
You're bringing up memories because I've stayed in that hotel. I've got locked out of my hotel room in my boxers in that hotel. We went to a Green Bay Packer game, right? And tied it on. Came back, fell asleep, woke up in the middle of the night, had to go to the bathroom, right? So I walk over to the door, open it up, and I'm doing that thing where you're like, your eyes aren't really open. Plus, I mean, probably 3 sheets to the wind still. And I open up the door, and it closes behind me, and the lights are on. And all of a sudden, I look out, and I'm in the hallway. And I've just locked myself out of the room. Nobody will answer the door, so I had to go down to the front desk at probably 3 a.m. in my boxers and be like, I don't know how better to say this. I locked myself out of the room. I'm sure they're like, you're an idiot. Here's a card. Made the shame walk back to my room, swipe it so I could get back in.
Oh, yep. Who hasn't been there? I got one of a guy getting buck naked doing that. And then he went into like a floor where they were doing construction, and because he panicked, he said, well, I can't go down buck. And then he ended up sleeping. Cops came. Long story, but yeah, who hasn't? You get in one and then you take the wrong doorway. Whoops-a-daisy.
Whoops-a-daisy. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah, just whoops-a-daisy.
Whoops. Those front desk ladies have seen it all. They know. Oh, look at this again. Guys doing that. Yep.
You think that happens on the regular?
Oh, it's got to. For sure, man. For sure. It's because a hotel, when you're in a hotel, everyone's drinking full tilt. Well, not everyone all the time, but I mean, there's a lot of people that get at it, especially on the road. So you get more than what you would do at home, and then you get at it, all of it. And that's the thing. You're not familiar with where you're sleeping. So it's not like, your own house. You just, I'm going straight to there. You wake up and like, where am I half the time? And then you feel a door. You're like, here we go. And no, this isn't it. And that just shut. And it's not like you're going to bring your hotel key with you. You don't even know where you are when you're going to take a piss during the night. So it's going to happen more than you'd think for sure.
I'd love to take a poll and ask like 10 hotels, their front desk ladies who work nights, how often that happens.
Oh, especially that hotel you're talking about, Party Hotel Green Bay, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Like you're the fourth guy tonight.
Yeah. There's 3 other guys in the elevator at that time.
Lock yourself out of the hotel, dude. Yep. Son of
no, man. It's a thing I do. I come in my boxers. They just give you the key. That's what I'm gonna start doing. I'll be so broke after COVID. I'm gonna start rolling in hotels in my boxers. I lock myself out. What room? Oh, I forget. Just Taylor. You got a Taylor out there? No, Lowe, Smith.
You've mentioned a couple of places on ice, the dressing room of the Flyers. What is the strangest place you've performed in Saskatchewan? I feel there has to be some hole in the wall that you're like, you want me to do what now? All right, let's fire it up, I guess.
Oh man. Strange. Oh man, I've done so many. Strangest? Hi. Man, that's the thing. Like because Saskatchewan's not like New York or LA where you have proper venues for stand-up. So like some of the places are so strange it doesn't even faze me. I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it right there. Like pallets have been a stage, like more than a lot. Like, and then milk cartons with a piece of plywood and things just right there. Because people just think you don't need a setup. Like people like, you get nervous. It's like, I don't really as much get nervous as I'll get to a show and it's set up poorly. And then I'll be like, well, this is reeking for failure. Like I went to one where there was no lights and they had me behind a buffet and they thought it was quiet enough, or they thought it was a small enough group that I wouldn't need a sound system. So 1, I was behind a buffet table. 2, I was in the dark. 3, I had no sound system, and they thought that was fine. Small group should be fine. I was like, no, that's brutal. Oh man, like I did my pasture this summer, COVID. So we did a drive-in. So now I'm just in my field. I never thought when I bought my acreage, I'd be slinging jokes. And once again, on 6 pallets and a piece of plywood. Yeah, like that's what it was. But I think half the shows I do, I'm building a stage as I get there or something like that. So, to say the strangest, like even strangest would really probably be coming out of a Zamboni at the middle of center ice in Wisconsin, but that's not Saskatchewan. So, but wait, like we said, Wisconsin close enough to Saskatchewan, so I'm counting it.
Yeah, I would agree. As we get close here, I know I'm keeping you. It's been over an hour, and I hate to go too far past, but I asked this to Paul Meyerhog. He was a comedian on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, beauty. Love Paul Meyerhog.
Yeah, he did it from France under house lockdown. They got 8 o'clock curfew over there.
Oh, yeah. Huge beauty. Love him. He does an impression of me at the comedy club in Winnipeg, Rumors. They do, they'll do a plug for the next comic coming in. So Paul was the week before me. So he did an impersonation of me. And then I sent it out, and then Rumors posted, and then my friends and everyone saw it, and they're just dying laughing. The radio station in PA picked it up. And I was like, really? That's how I sound? As soon as every time people hear me talk, they're like, you should try out for Letterkenny. You should try. I was like, at least those guys are acting. I'd come in, at least I wouldn't have to act. I'm just that idiot. Oh, but sorry, go on. Yeah, Meyerhog's a big beauty. Love him.
He was a lot of fun. And like I say, he did it from France, which made it even better. He had me day drinking at noon on a Sunday. And that's why this started. I showed up at noon and he was already cracking a beer. And I'm like, we're cracking beers? And he's like, well, yeah, I'm under house arrest. Like we're locked down here. 8 o'clock, got to be in the house. Can't do anything. So we're having a beer. I'm like, all right, we'll have a beer. I'm not gonna say no. So away we went. But I asked him at what point he thought he made it. Because like being a comic, you've said it a lot. So like you can work a lot of years and never get your shot, never, I don't know, like make it to maybe the next level. Is there a point when you look back and you're like, yeah, right when I did this show or right when I got invited here, I knew I was on to something, or maybe that I didn't have to worry anymore?
That's a great question in the sense of when you think you made it, it's when you didn't, but you're so fresh into stand-up. So you're thinking, oh, well, when will something happen? And I remember just getting a gig in Calgary. Like I was going out of Saskatchewan and I was going to Calgary and I was like, man, I've made it. I got to Calgary. It was just it was a terrible gig at a bar by the airport called Coco's. It was a bikini bar. It was far from making it. so like that was one right. Like, man, I made it. Then I look back and I was like, holy man, just because you go to Calgary doesn't mean you make it. So, but that's a year in the stand-up. And then after that, it was like then you get Just for Laughs, and they're like, holy shit, I made it. And then after Just for Laughs, my manager said, because I was younger, and they're like, they thought the college way would be the way for me. So I did the Canadian colleges in 06. So we showcased in 05, did them in 06. And I was in Hamilton in the back, and and it's a nooner. And like a nooner is the furthest thing from making it once again. But it was the first theater I'd ever done. And I was sitting behind the drapes, and it wasn't any other comic. I wasn't opening for someone. I wasn't doing anyone. It was just me and everyone. I kind of looked behind the drapes, and it got pretty busy for a noon show. Look, in hindsight, I remember just thinking in Hamilton at the back of a noon show. I was like, holy shit, man! You're sitting behind a curtain in like a theater. You've made it. And then later, as I go on doing comedy, once again, do not make it. But like now at the point of making it, I was like, I think really making it is really being happy. Like I've spent time in LA, and LA, when things you think are happening, it's awesome because it's so exciting. Like, holy shit, I'm at the place where things happen and things are actually happening. Like, I thought I had a movie, we had this going on. It's like, whoo, and then it didn't happen. And now you're just in LA, and now you're trying to get on stage and get this. I was like, man, I got bills to pay. Like, every day I'm losing money for my family. So then when things aren't happening, like, man, I got to get back. And then I got back and then found my own. And then people like, and I kept getting told, you'll never be able to stay in Saskatchewan. You'll have to move. You'll be able to make a living. Then I just found my own niche of maybe, you know, doing, like, say you do Hartnell's show and that boom. Say all those guys got golf tournaments. Now I'm doing those guys golf tournaments and that one. And then I ended up getting my way of making it was doing a show. Then it went good. And then it branched out to more shows. And then you go there and you have a good show and then it branches out. And kind of, I didn't have a yucks. I didn't have anything else. Just did it on my own. And my making it for me would be just word of mouth. Like, hey, that was a good show. Get that guy. And now just making it is just being busy, man. Like, I'll go to Toronto, go to Vancouver, and people are like, what? You got this much? Man, I don't have any work on this time. I was like, oh man, I got so many shows. I book shows for other guys. And then you're like, okay, maybe I've made it in the sense of, you know, I don't need another job. I need a job now though, goddamn COVID. But so now looking back at what thing that I've made, it was just, you know, having good shows that branched off to just doing my own thing. So I was like, you know, it to be a household name, I don't even know if I'd really want that. I wouldn't, because I've been around comics that are household names and it doesn't look fun. Like, I've been in shows where they don't even want to go out until like right before they go on. They'll like be in a closet to be away from everyone just because it's too much. Like, and like, we're talking cell phones. Everyone wants that picture with you. Everyone wants this certain thing. Like, oh no, okay, the picture can't get a Snapchat of it. Get this. And it's just like guys just sitting like, and I was like, I remember just walking off, just watching this comic from afar. I was like, oh, I would never want that. That's too much, man. So making it, I guess, would be different things for different people. But I'm happy where I am now. Like, minus this COVID thing's going, I will be probably living in a van down by the river. But pre-COVID, no complaints, man. No complaints.
If that's the serious part of this conversation, I enjoy everybody. I enjoy everybody's answer to that. I think that's very well put, because even if you were to make it, there's only so many people who make it, like where you can't walk down the street, make it, right? And you've carved out, well, I'll throw a shout out to Brad Simons. He's a buddy of mine from Helmond. He'd thrown your name out probably, God, it had to have been right when I first started this, which is closing in on 2 years. And I remember being like, oh yeah, I should do that. And then I just kind of, you know, whatever. But man, the longer it goes, the more your name pops up everywhere. And I'm like, oh geez, he's like a little Saskatchewan icon, right? Like, that's what you are.
Matt, I would take that. That's perfect. That's all I would need. And this is, I'm doing this Zoom thing for teachers, and they got these questions of like, what's it like to be a celebrity in PA? And I was like, there's never been a celebrity part of PA. Like, are you kidding me, man? I go everywhere and no one treats, like, I've never in my life of doing this. You go to the rake or anything, anyone still bust your balls or anything. And this is all I needed in my whole life. And it felt like I felt like I made it, and it was the greatest thing. And this is, so I worked with Ray Bork. We did a thing for Hockey Heroes in Saskatoon. We did another function somewhere. And then I'm doing Mike Keene's fantasy camp in Winnipeg. And we're supposed to meet in the lobby. And I go down, and the guy organizing it. He's like, okay, we're going to head down. He goes, you're down a little early. He goes, Ray's down here early. He's just at the bar having a drink. Why don't you go over? I was like, oh, great. I was like, oh, man, I've worked with Ray before. So I go sit over, see Ray. I was like, hey, Ray, Kelly Taylor, who worked at Hockey Heroes. I was like, oh, yeah. So we sit there and we're having a drink. And this guy comes in. And Winnipeg is like the one city in Canada where I've worked so much. I'm the only comic that's done this, the club there. And the club has a lot of faithful followers. Like, everyone in Winnipeg knows of Rumors. And so everyone, it's always sold out. It's a busy club, man. And this guy comes in, and it's me and Ray Bork having a drink. He's like, hey, oh my God. Hey, sorry to bother you guys. You don't mind if I get a picture? And I was like, yeah. And I'm ready to get this guy's camera to take a picture with Ray, like take a picture of him and Ray Bork. And he passes his phone to Ray Bork, and he puts his arm over me. He's like, man, you're my wife's favorite comedian. She always tells you the joke about the this, that. And I was like, oh my God, now I'm just dying laughing. man, this guy's giving a camera to Ray Bork to take a picture of me, and then he leaves, and I was like, man. So then Ray, like, I'm so like he thinks I'm actually like, so now Ray thinks I'm famous, which is even funnier. So now I'm getting a laugh at this guy giving Ray a thing. And then we're talking. He's like, you know what, man? He goes, the Bruins always do this function. They have a comic. He goes, they had this Boston comic last year. He's a funny guy. What's his name? And I was like, Boston comic. Everyone was famous from Boston. He goes, Bill something. I was like, Bill Burr? And he's like, that's it. That's the guy. He goes, I should give him your name for next year. I was like, yeah, give him Kelly Taylor from Saskatchewan to follow up on the Bill Burr gig. I'll take whatever he got paid too at that time. So it's just great. It was like, if that's all I need in life is just that little one right there of some guy being absolutely clueless that he's giving his camera to Ray Bork to take a picture of me for his wife.
God. I mean, it could have happened with anyone better sitting there. I mean, obviously Wayne Gretzky sitting there would have been better, but I mean, like, Ray Bork's pretty big. Like, Ray Bork is.
And then April 7th, I bump into Ray Bork again. This is my fourth time. So, and we're at the airport. They did a hockey hero thing. There was Bertuzzi, Ally Afraidy, Medano, bunch of guys. And I remember it's April 7th. It's the day after Humboldt. And I bump into these guys, man, I'm down. It's like, and then they come around and we start. I know I've worked with Al before too. So we said, holy man, I was like, the hockey community just takes after. Like, I was down in the dumps. I was like, takes a hockey guys to get you out of this. And then we get on the plane and we get bumped up. You never get bumped up first class. And we get bumped up, and me and Ray are having drinks, visiting that. And then she's like, oh yeah, what do you do? And she's asking him. He's like, oh, I used to play hockey. And she's like, oh my God, my dad is a huge hockey fan. And she goes, what's your name? I have to tell him I met him. And then once again, I was like, oh my God, he's getting like one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game. And he goes, Ray Bork. And then she looks at him, she's like, okay, I remember that. I'll see if he remembers. I'll see if he knows who you are. And I was like, yeah, if you're saying your dad's a hockey fan, I'm pretty sure you'll know who he is. And then Ray goes, and he's a comedian. Tell him who you are. I was like, I don't think your dad's going to know who I am. I'm not Bill Burr, I'll tell you that.
God, Bill Burr's funny. Who's your favorite comedian? Like, who do you tune into the special?
You know what? I don't. Okay, that's a good question. If there's a special, I'll watch a couple. I don't really listen to much stand-up, but if there's a special, and Mike Birbiglia releases one. See, he's a huge name, would be known as Unreal, but maybe not a household name. He's awesome. He's an American guy. John Doerr is a Canadian guy that's hilarious. Norm Macdonald, which I think is one of the best of all time. And then there's also Chappelle. Chappelle feels like Connor McDavid, though. He's so good without, like, it looks, when you're that good, it looks like he's not trying. Like, it looks like he can just be talking about anything, and he probably is. Like, it looks like McDavid skating. Like, that's how good Chappelle is.
I'd love to see what his routine is, Chappelle, for preparing for that. Because there's one guy, when it comes out, I'm like, yep, I'm gonna tune into that. Bill Burr's another. Bill Burr, he's hilarious. But Dave Chappelle is just like, man, he's good. Doesn't matter what he's talking about. Like, he's just fantastic.
He's so good. It just seems like he's better than everyone else. And the way he's talking, like, it's comedy, and it's almost like he's teaching you something at the same time. And you're like, well, how can't I see that point of view of this and that? I've heard, I've never seen Bill Burr live, but I know the guy who I take his opinion the most is the guy who runs the club in Winnipeg, because he's seen every comic there is in the world. And he said Bill Burr's live is pretty tough to beat Bill Burr live. So, but I haven't seen a lot of Bill's stand-up. You see Bill on everything else, but I haven't watched a lot of Bill Burr's stand-up. But I know Doug Stanhope's a guy who's really offside, incredibly funny too. Birbiglia, John Mulaney's another guy, very funny. But those are a few of them.
Well, let's do this. We'll slowly wrap up here. We do the Crude Master.
Holy shit.
We do the Crude Master Final Five. Oh yeah, I I get going and there's no stopping, right? We're closing in an hour and a half. We'll do the Crude Master Final Five. It's shout out to Heath and Tracy McDonald. They've been sponsoring the podcast since the very beginning. Just 5 questions. Go as long or short as we like. There's no timetable on this, but if you could sit down on your podcast with one person or, and sit and pick their brain like I'm doing to you, right? Like if you could have anyone, who would you take?
Oh man, you know what? I've done so many sports guys that, and just the way we've been talking, like, so Grant Fuhr was my hero and the Mark Messier. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to do those guys. I'm such an outdoors guy. You know what? I'd probably go some sort of crazy mountaineer guy, man. That's, Conrad Anker's a huge mountain guy. Like, I'm going to go off script on that one. Yeah. Like I've never been asked that question. I've never really thought of that question. And then the other ones I would think of comics, but I was like, man, I could be at just lots of different things or just at a club and Norm Macdonald can pop in and you could sit there and kind of do it. Norm Macdonald would be pretty cool because he was the one guy I remember recording his set when I was in grade 6 on a cassette player because they had comedy at night and I recorded it. And I remembered the whole bit. It was about being in the back seat of a car. And I remember John Wing, a comedian from Canada, legendary comedian, is like, who is your favorite? And I was like, and then I kind of tell him the Norm Macdonald story and listening to this thing. He's like, what was the bit? And John Wing goes, oh my God, I was there the night Norm told that for the first time. He just started doing he was new into stand-up and everyone said how good he was. And all he took, the bit was about him sitting in the back seat of a car because he was the new comic. So he's like, you're the new guy. You're not going to get shotgunned or that. So you're the back seat of the car. He came back and like, how's the new guy? And he's pretty quiet, doesn't say anything. And then when you come back from your road gigs, you all do a set Sunday in Toronto. And then Norm just did a set about him being in the back seat of that car, and it just destroyed. It was already like boom, boom, boom set up, and that was the thing. I was like, and John was like, I was there the night that fucking bit was born. I was like, oh man, did that come full circle? I'm glad I told you the story then to get the tail end of it. And it was so funny. Everything he said, it was like true about being in the back seat of a car. I just loved it.
Norm Macdonald is is a special character.
Oh yeah, he'd be a little weird, that's why I'd get nervous at some point because he'd probably because you don't know if he's messing with you or what the hell's going on.
Didn't he have? I'm trying to remember now. I'm certain he did. I just can't remember the name of it. Didn't he have a talk show? What was his talk show called?
Yeah, like the Norm Macdonald Show.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald Show, right?
Sitcom, the Norm Show.
No. But he used to have a Norm Macdonald Show where he'd bring people in and they'd sit and talk, and it was kind of like, I remember thinking
very unscripted. It was and he tried to make it look unprofessional, and then some people were chiming in on it because it was, but that was just Norm. That's what he wanted to do. He didn't want it to be a big ordeal. Yeah.
I felt like more people needed to be in on that joke because I remember the first time I tuned in, that's exactly, I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it looks like low budget, eh? Look.
Yeah, right. So it's Norm Macdonald sitting there, you're like, this is something else, right? Like, but when you did some digging, now that you talk about it, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you could perform in one place, whether you've done it already or you want to do it, what is the one place?
Oh, you know what? Just because I watched it on HBO, they have a thing on the Comedy Store. I did the Comedy Store in LA, but I was in the small room upstairs. So I guess the main room, because they say everyone's done it. So I guess I would want to do that main room in LA at the Comedy Store just because it is such history. I've done the Improv in New York and the Improv in LA and the Laugh Factory and that, but I've done the Comedy Store, but not that one main room. So I guess that would be it. Yeah, for sure. I guess the Comedy Store, or you know what, the Saint Denis Theater in Montreal. I've done galas at Just for Laughs, but not that. Saint Denis Theater is the bigger of the one. So I guess if you're doing Saint Denis, you're doing something right. So I'll say, I guess Saint Denis in Montreal. I'll take it back.
If you could open for one guy, who would it be? Would it be Norm Macdonald or would it be somebody else?
man. Yeah, you know what? Probably Norm. And you know what? And the thing is, Norm comes by, and I've been offered to. He does the comedy clubs in Winnipeg. He does the comedy clubs in Edmonton. And my manager was the Edmonton club owner. So if Norm ever went through, I would just say, I'd just say, okay, can I open for him? They'd be yeah. And same with he goes to Calgary. I know the club owner there. So I could, but so I'm gonna think of some American. I like the Birbiglia then. But then I'd be scared Birbiglia would judge me and not like my style of comedy. I'm such a fat ass that it'd be like, I don't like this guy. I'm like, no, then it hurt my feelings.
If you could do a skit on SNL, any skit through the history of time, what skit would it be? God, I hope it's one I remember.
Oh, man. You know what the thing is? So I got, when I was in LA, I got Brillstein and Gray, which is I think the biggest management company in the world. So this is how Canadian I am. So my manager from Canada sent me down, and they had Steve Kotlowitz, who's a hockey agent. So, but he used to be producing things in LA and all that before. So he had a lot of connections. So we were going around to meetings and that. And so we went in and we signed with Brillstein and Gray, and they sit down. It's like almost like one guy just props up and kind of sits on the edge of a chair, and they look at you. And it's like, what are they going to do with you? And he looks at him, he's like, what do you want? And I was like, man, I've never been asked this question. I'm in LA, things are moved. I was like, what do I want? He was like, what do you want to do? If you could have anything, what do you want to do? And I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, Saturday Night Live. That's all. Like, are you kidding me? That'd be my dream. And he goes, okay. And it's like, now you're talking to the people that can make it happen. And he goes, okay, so you do lots of impressions. And I was like, no, don't do any. He's like, because man, that's what Saturday Night Live is. And in my head, I never even thought of it that way. Like in my head, I just, like, I don't ever picture Will Ferrell like doing impressions. I always just pictured him as being a funny guy, you know, doing that. And it's like, I always thought I could do those different, I could do characters, but I didn't know of impressions. Like, oh, I didn't think of it. So yeah, I would probably go, because I could picture myself, I was probably at that weight and looked like that body type. But more cowbell was probably
more cowbell. Shit,
more cowbell with the belly out would have been probably a good one to do.
God, how much fun would Will Ferrell be to take out in a night? Just where maybe people don't even know who he is. He can just let loose. I mean, if that's even possible.
Like that, and that's what I like. And maybe it's a hockey mentality with me that I was never a solo sport guy. So if I could look for the funnest thing to do in what I was doing, it's like Saturday Night Live seems like just like the team having a great time. Like the team bus would just be that stage, and then that after party, you know, they're like, thanks for our guest and this, and they're all just sitting there, and you're like, oh, are they gonna cut loose? Because you know they've all been through the trenches, like a hockey team that. They've been working all week nonstop, not even all week, but all month, prepping, and then just like, let loose. And you know you nail a skit too, like just like scoring the goal or making the big save, like, oh man. And then going out like, holy shit, was cowbell good? Because there's obviously going to be bits where you think are good and you don't know.
Yeah, and they bomb.
Like, man, that was, yeah.
Or they other
ones. Yeah, and you don't know which way they're going to go. And like, man, that one worked out perfect. I was like, so Saturday Night Live was always intrigued me like that. I was like, oh, always wanted it, always. But it's like, then they're like, you do lots of impersonations. None. That's what it is. Shit. I never thought of it. Oh.
Okay, your final one then. Keeping the celebrity thing in mind, if you could bring one celebrity to Saskatchewan, what celebrity would you bring to party with? And what Sask small town bar would you take him to?
Oh, what small town Sask bar? Oh my God. Oh, these are tough questions, man. I'd probably want to bring a musician. But then I was like, some of them, who'd be a musician that'd be a really, really good time? Holy shit. Can you get harder questions, man? Well, I want Chris Farley then. I want Chris Farley.
Can you imagine Chris Farley alive in small town Sask? That would be a riot.
I want Chris Farley live at Ship's Lantern at Candle Lake on August long weekend, back when it was a bar. There we go. I'm going all out. No holding any punches. Chris Farley, then he'd give me we'd go for the money. Who could be the biggest idiot at the bar that night?
God, you're hitting. I tell you what, I have not been all across Saskatchewan. I will not even for 1 second put that out there. But I have been to the Ship's Lantern at Candle Lake when it was back at a bar. And I was sitting outside because I had a few Frosties, and somehow we had pizza and we were sitting in the dirt, and a guy punched a bouncer and knocked him down and took off running. And then all these bouncers came running out. And they're like, which way did they go? And we're sitting there and I have no idea. And then you hear, you'll never catch me. They caught him. They caught him.
You'll never catch me. Famous last words.
Oh, man, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you you hopping on and sharing some stories, Kelly, and just, shooting the shit. This has been really enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. All the best. That's good. I love Lloyd is one of my towns where people always ask, where do you like performing? Like, what's your favorite? And they always get the weirdest answer. Like, I love performing in Winnipeg. And Lloyd, just always a group of people there. I always hang out with. Love having a good time in Lloyd. So I do a ton of shows in Lloyd, it seems like. And I have a great time every time there. Well,
the next time you're here, you let me know, because I'll have you in studio and we can sit and have a BS and a bullshit and a couple of sarsaparillas in studio.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Take you up on her.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Hey, folks. Thanks for joining us today. If you just stumbled on the show, please click subscribe. Then scroll to the bottom and rate and leave a review. I promise it helps. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday, we will have a new guest sitting down to share their story. The Sean Newman Podcast is available for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast fix. Until next time.